Hi everybody, this is Danny Rabin from Marvin, and I was participating in this thread on Facebook where a friend of mine brought up the question of how to use the diminished scale on guitar. And I thought I'd spend some time talking about it because that's not a simple thing to do because of the symmetric nature of the scale. So for those of you who know anything about what the diminished scale is and are not sure how to use it in music, it's actually not that complicated. Let's start with what the diminished scale actually is. If I take a look at E diminished, right? It's a scale that looks like this. It's built whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That's why it's called, right? If I just play it on one string, that's what it looks like. Now, because it's symmetric, it has two modes. Now, when I ask myself what a mode actually is, and I made some videos about what scales and modes are, but if you think about things intervallically, and you can call any note or any point of the guitar one. So this scale gives you two modes. Because it's so symmetric, it only gives you two sets of interval patterns. The one would be starting whole, half, whole, and the other one would be half, whole, half, whole, half. This is unlike, let's say, the major scale, which gives you 7 distinct modes that are different from each other. So if I take a look at it in a parallel kind of way, not a relative way, then I have E diminished, whole, half, which corresponds with diminished chords, that kind of sound. And then I have the more useful mode of the scale, which is the half whole, okay? And that one looks like this, half, whole, sorry. Why is it more useful? Well, it's more useful because it fits over dominant chords, right? Dominant chords, I mean chords that have 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. So if I just take a look at an E7 chord like that, then the real way to start thinking about diminished would be an E7 arpeggio with 4 tensions. Now, diatonic modes give you 4 chord tones and 3 tensions. This one gives you 4 chord tones and 4 tensions. It gives you a flat 2, flat 9, same thing, sharp 2, sharp 9, same thing, and a 3, right? So if I think about it in terms of the arpeggio, that's kind of color in between. It gives you a sharp 4 or sharp 11, right? And then it also gives you a 6, a natural 6. That 6, right? This is all compared to E. Again, if I imagine I have an E7. Now that's useful because in jazz or other kinds of music, you have a ton of dominant chords. And the types of modes that give you a natural 13th or a natural 6, meaning not a flat one, and then also a sharp 2 and a flat 2, usually are used for dominant chords that resolve to major chords. So think about the possibilities. Like let's say I have an E7, right? And then I can put all the tensions that belong to the diminished mode on that E7. So I have a flat 2, flat 9, right? So this is 1, 3, flat 7. Here's a root, right? So I can use this voicing, which is just an E7, an E7 flat 9, an E7 sharp 9, an E7 flat 9 sharp 11, E7 sharp 9 sharp 11, and then I can also throw a natural 13th, and that's really the sound, flat 9 and natural 13, right? That's the one that this mode gives me. And that resolves there, right? So another a great way to start visualizing it, as opposed, now the reason why people don't get very good at this is they get lost in the symmetry of the same shape over and over again. Let's change key, just because, you know, we're used to working on things in C. So here's a C chord, C major chord. Let's talk about the one that fits a G7, because G leads into C. So usually that'll be the fingering that most people know, the 3-note per string. This one also happens to be much easier to memorize than the one starting on the half, right? Because you have this kind of pattern that's easy to move. And if you move it in minor thirds, you can mechanically memorize this kind of thing. The other modal fingering would be the other mode, right? 3 notes per string would have this pattern too, right? So, but what I propose here is to actually not get lost in the symmetry of the fingering, but maintain the arpeggio shape on the guitar and see how the tensions fill in the cracks, right? So if I have a G7 arpeggio, right? What you want to have is the awareness that between the root and the third, you have a sharp 2 and a flat 2, right? 3, sharp 2, flat 2, root. Flat 7, 6, 5, sharp 4, 3, right? Sharp 2, flat 2, root. And now when you go up the neck, you get to the next, you know, however you play the next chord, right? This would be like another G major triad. Here's your root. So if that's the root, here's the flat 2, here's the sharp 2, right? And here's the 3, the sharp 4, 5. So it's about visualizing it around the triad of G. You get it? If I see this triad right here, right? This is another G major triad. Here's a G7 chord, right? So on top I have the 5th. I know I have a natural 6 and a flat 7. And here's my root. Here's the 3rd. Here's the sharp 2. Here's the flat 2. And here's the root, right? Or here. So again, it's a different way of looking at it, as opposed to asking yourself where this thing is, that shape that you're used to. Just ask yourself, where are you in the arpeggio, and then what you have around, right? So if you know that if you're holding the root, you have the flat 2 right by it and the flat 7. If you have the flat 2, you have the sharp 2. You have the 3. And then also be able to actually hit, like, construct the chords that fit. So this is like a G13, right? Or here's a G7, here's a G13, here's a G13 with a flat 9, just by stacking the tensions that belong in this mode. Here's a G13 with a sharp 9. Here's a G7 sharp 11, a G7 sharp 11 with a flat 9, right? So G with a sharp 11, a 13, and then a sharp 9 would be like, just grabbing that diminished chord and G in the bottom. So yeah, the ability to kind of see it this way. And then, you know, the way to practice it would be to just kind of practice a dominant chord resolving. So like, let's say a G7 to a C major, and give yourself like 2 measures on each. Right? So, yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, type them up. But I think this way of looking at it would be the clearest I can think. All right, thanks, and I'll see you next time.